Hey, hello everyone. I've always had a question, ever since I was a kid, is what am I going to do with my life or what am I going to do next? And this question has always been with me and it's still with me today, but I'm starting to have, if not the answer, some answers. My name is Cyrille Arnould. I'm French, as my accent will let you know. I went to UPenn in late 80s, early 90s. I graduated in 91 from the Wharton School. And everything has been at the beginning a bit of an accident. I'm from a large family. I've got four brothers and one sister. I'm the first banker in the family. And I have to say, it's never been something that was valued among us. Two of my brothers are teachers. I've got a sister who's a social worker. My younger brother is a farmer. In fact, today I'm talking from being with him in his farm. And so being a banker is not, they did not congratulate me, but in fact, I ended up loving being it simply because during my whole life, I learned to discover market mechanisms to address social issues. I'm not going to argue to you today that every single social issue can be fixed with a market mechanism, but often I think this is overlooked. And overlooked because sometimes we need to discover, new models, new business models to address some, massive issues we have. And this is what I'd like to talk about with you today and kind of relating to my experience. Another, balding man comment before I dive into, some of the things that my life took me to do. We all have strengths and weaknesses. The first step is to become aware of them as thoroughly as possible. What are we good at? What are we less good at? And also to really understand what do we enjoy doing. I've learned very quickly one can never be very good at doing something that one does not enjoy doing. That's pretty basic, but unfortunately, some people forget it. And then they wake up sometime in their life unhappy about what they've been spending their time on. So please, 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 always follow your heart. Always follow what makes you wake up in the morning and want to get up and do something. This is the only way to do it. Secondly, I love music, but I'll never be a good musical player. I sing terribly, although I love choirs. So yeah, I can sing under the shower, but I can never fix that. So focus on your strength, become excellent at what you're good at. Just become okay as much as you can for the rest, and then you're equipped to go. I mentioned I went to UPenn to Wharton in the late 80s, and there was a major world event, which is still reverberating today, that took place, the so-called fall of the Berlin Wall. For those who are not clear about what it is, in summary, Europe was divided into two huge blocks, which physically did not communicate. That is to say, there was the Eastern Europe and Western Europe. When I went to study my university studies, even in high school, going to Eastern Europe was not even something we thought about because it was simply impossible. Think today, North Korea, who dreams about going to North Korea? I'm sure it's an exciting place, but going there is almost, if not impossible. So you just think about something else. Then suddenly the political wind changed and the Berlin Wall fell, and Eastern Europe opened up, and my life changed. I was at Wharton at the time, and I was kind of feeling hesitant. Actually, what am I doing here? History is happening in Moscow, in Prague, in Warsaw. I should be going there. And this is, in fact, where I ended up going after Wharton. I went to Russia, working for the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Its goal, its charter said, the EBRD works, to support countries transitioning to market economy and democracy. So yes, about Russia, don't blame me. I still love the country, it's still a great country, but it's a huge tragedy, and we have to support Ukraine. But going back to what I discovered, starting working in Russia, then after all over the world, is that we kept applying old methodologies, old systems, approaches, and they just did not work very well. And we were not too fazed by the fact we kept trying the same thing, it didn't work very well, and we kept trying again, it still did not work very well. So let me give you the example of microfinance. We started to notice in the 90s that some NGOs had been quite successful at providing microloans to very poor people. At that time, the big consulting firms were telling all the banks, just concentrate on big accounts, forget, small accounts. They're not productive. They're not profitable. Go back to the core. So the message was, if you're poor, you'll be out of the banking business, out of the banking sector. And beyond whether it's fair or not, it's a major impediment to moving out of poverty. We all need financial products and services to organize ourselves privately or for our businesses. Long story short, I was traveling in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America by that time I was working with the IFC at the World Bank. And I realized, in fact, poor people do have access to financial services and product, but they have access only to very poor, very lousy, and very expensive financial services and products. Who was their lender? The market money lender. The guy who, for example, a poor woman in Africa would go to on a Monday, borrow $10. She would then walk, to the countryside, buy fruits and vegetables. Then she would walk back, to the city market and sell them. And with her profit from that transaction, she would pay back the market money lender, hopefully save some for her own family and start all over again. Guess what? Who was making the bulk of the profit? Of course, the market money lender. What type of rates were those guys charging? Yeah, easily 20% per week, sometimes 100% per month. Easy. But, since the margins, of this run trip to the countryside provided 100% return, it was still okay. We thought, we started, seeing some NGOs, finding ways to crack, that issue. We were basically, when we started developing microfinance, and I played an active role, there for a while, I was always saying our business is to put out of business the market money lenders. By doing what? By providing loans costing on an annual basis maybe 20 or 25% to the same clients, which are paying 20 to 25% per week, to the market money lender, and to do so in a predictable and very transparent way. Fast forward, we realized it worked, but how could we scale it up? And this is where NGOs started to, lose their ability to do the job, because an NGO have a very difficult time scaling up and a very difficult time attracting investors or borrowing on capital markets. So we started creating, brand new microfinance institutions, basically banks, but banks entirely focused, on very low income households and individuals. And to do so, not only did we have to have the right products, microloans, easily understood, with good repayment schedules, but also services, because guess what? Even low income people, do save money. And where do they keep it? Well, they keep it at home, which is very inefficient and very dangerous. So we started having savings product for them. But, if we all know our banks are glitzy, offices, and this is not where, low-income people feel comfortable going. They feel they're poorly dressed, then they cannot go there. So we started having banks which are microfinance banks totally open to the street or even without walls. We had our credit officers go to the markets, go where people live and work, and transact there with them. And this is how it all boomed. Now, going back to the traditional industry, you cannot run a loan book, with thousands of lines without a very super duper IT system. So investing in high IT system was essential. You cannot do, this type of run this type of organization without very good training and very good organization. So in fact, we did borrow, from traditional financial institutions to build the infrastructure needed. What we needed was a different business model and a different, a totally different approach and thinking. And to conclude on that point, the two do not merge. You cannot do corporate lending and microfinance lending. It has to remain specialized. And final note, in fact, microfinance lending in many countries was technologically innovative. They are the first one who went on to mobile banking, not because they were more techy than others, simply because the entrepreneurs behind those banks understood that, transaction cost is fundamental to financial sustainability, and new tech was offering brand new avenues. A long example to show how one can use market mechanism to effect, significant social changes. Very quickly, same thing in renewable. There are two types of renewable. The infrastructure renewable, this is where I've been working, but also distributed renewable, small equipments that one can have in a house, and that costs from $10-15 to a few $100s. Again, low-income families have access to energy. It could be a kerosene light, it could be wood, charcoal. When you look at it from an economic standpoint, this is a very expensive energy service, very poor quality service, and often unhealthy. Renewable is just fitting in. You provide a better product, better service at a lower cost. And it has to be financially sustainable, but that's no problem, because again, if you look at the case of kerosene lamps, the lamp itself is very cheap to buy, but the kerosene is quite expensive to buy for a low-income family. However, it has virtue. It's highly granular. You can buy it as you can have the disposable income. A small solar light is a little bit the other way around. It's a bit more expensive to buy. $15 if you're on the $15 to buy a solar light when you earn $2 or $3 a day. It's a very serious investment. You're not just going to do it like that. But once you have it, solar is free. You're no longer paying for your fuel, and that changes everything. So how do you crack that? Again, business model and a little bit of technology. Some bright guys realized that you could build a system of lease. And how do you do it? It's using GSM cards for remote control of the equipment. And again, I alluded to mobile banking. It is possible to pay $50 online in many African countries. So as someone earns a bit of money and wants to have light in the evening, at the end of the day, transfer pays, buys the service for the equipment, which is sitting on the desk, that can be remotely through a GSM card control, and you get the light for free. But to run those businesses, selling, leasing those lights, you again need to have a business model. You need to have a balance sheet and a cost of capital that works with it. I could go on and more detailed, but really the message I have is a lot of the innovative, highly impactful new businesses that we see are based on innovation in the business model, reusing part of traditional management, that we have all learned or experienced in our business. To have good MIS IT system, to know where are your clients, when their payment schedules, etc., is fundamental. Always investing in people. This is something. There's no shortcut here. You need to have super duper teams. And you need to have a lot of imagination, able to defy skepticism, crack, cynicism, and say, yes, there are solutions. I'll leave it there, because otherwise you're going to be hearing from me for hours, and perhaps I wouldn't mind, but I'm sure you would mind. So Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you the very best.